milestones. I've just arrived, it's crazy. There's a lot going on out there. Do not go out in the streets of Toronto. There is exhibitions, there's expos, there's games, baseball.
There was a game last night, there's another one today.
Yeah.
I threw out the first pitch in Boston for the Red Sox a couple of weeks ago. And it was a strike. The guy says that hardly anyone does strikes. I looked at 50 cents and his went like that. I don't know how he did that.
So did you play cricket growing up, or is baseball just in the blood?
I think I'm just incredibly sporty.
So I've got one question on my mind to start off, and it's because we were talking about Edge of the Night before you got in here.
Right.
When you were auditioning for the role, was your musical background a factor in securing it, or was this just, oh, I also do this?
It was a night in a karaoke bar. Honestly, there was nothing in the script that Pippin was singing. Look at this cosplay here, that's brilliant. Look at you guys. That was a hard job for those Urukai, having to carry us around.
Were they giant dudes? Or
They were big guys, yeah, and they just had to carry us all day.
go back to the karaoke bar.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
I'm sorry.
So Pippin didn't sing in the script at all, and then one night we went out for dinner, quite a few of us, and had a couple of pints.
No.
It comes in pints, you know. We went to a karaoke bar, and we never went to a karaoke bar, but I was singing in this karaoke bar, and one of the writers, Philippa Boyens, was there, and the next day she said to Pete, you should get Billy to sing in a scene. And he said, I've been thinking about, getting more music, more poetry. So he had this idea, and Howard Shore, the amazing Howard Shore, was going to write the song, but they changed the schedule, and we were filming it in like 2 days. And Pete said, you write music, could you write something? So I went back to the house and I thought, oh wow, this is a great chance for me to kind of give a little bit more colour to Pippin, because it was 4 hobbits, we were always trying to make them different. And I liked the idea that the Tooks were the sort of Celts of the Shire, the sort of Scottish kind of vibes. They lived in their own country and they invented golf and all that. Tolkien wrote that, brilliant. So I wanted it to have a Celtic feel, so I wrote this kind of Celtic melody and I sang it to Pete. And he said, it's great, we'll do it tomorrow. And then we recorded it and that was it.
Cool. So what did you start musically? Like, what was the first instrument you learned on? Was this when you were a kid you started playing music?
When I was a kid, yeah, I learned guitar. My history teacher used to have a guitar class at the end of school, and I went there and I learned how to play Wild Thing. Love of Kintyre. And then I've been playing now for like 40 years and I don't think I'm any better. I don't know when you start to get better, but it's taken me a while.
So how long was the audition process for you getting that role? Like, it must have been very taxing.
Do you know what? It wasn't. It was, I've auditioned for things where they get you to come back and do the same thing to the same people. I remember once I was auditioning for a musical, and I'd done this scene and sang a song, sort of 8 times. And they asked me to come back to do it again, and I said, this is as good as it's going to get. I said, you can give me the job or not, but this is it. But with Pete Jackson, he was very. Everybody I knew was going on tape with a casting director for these movies in London. And then about a month after I went on tape, they said, Pete Jackson's coming into town and he'd like to meet you for the Harry Pippin. I said, oh great. Cool. And I went down and spent about an hour with him doing a couple of scenes, and he was directing them. And then, like a week later, I got a phone call saying, you've got the part. So I only met him once. And apparently, I didn't know this at the time, but when we finished filming, when you did your last scene, they had a party that night for whoever was finishing, and Pete gave a speech, and he told, at that party, he told everyone that I was actually the first one cast. Like, I didn't know that at the time. Wow. So it was all based around me.
So, a franchise like this has such a deep fan base, and there's such fascination with every little minute detail about the production and everything. There's so many stories about things happening behind the scenes. Is there one of those stories, these urban legends about the movie, that stands out that you know is blatantly false and nobody can understand how wrong that it is?
Yeah. Well, Vigo never broke his toe.
That didn't happen.
No. That thing was made of sponge. No, I'm only joking.
We have the scoop.
No, Vigo, he was in 100%. He was into those movies, you know. He would sleep with his sword and all that. Some nights he slept with his horse. I mean, he was Aragorn. You'd be in a restaurant in Wellington and you'd see him walking past with his sword barefoot.
Do you feel that at certain points you should sleep with a giant carrot or something like that?
Well, you know, whatever gets you through the night.
So, when you were trying to get into your character,
no, that's all right. It's good to hear a baby. It's good. Babies should be allowed to cry.
Strong lungs.
There you go. See?
Any questions from the crowd? You right at the front.
Hi.
Hi.
After doing Lord of the Rings for 10 years, how do you feel like to suddenly get the call and say, can you do the last song from The Hobbit?
Oh yeah, so the question, if you didn't hear at the back, was what was it like to get the call to do the last goodbye for the Hobbit movie?
My favourite song.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you, it's my agent. I don't have a guitar or a wood, but yeah, it happened because I'm going to stroll around if you don't mind.
Sure, man.
It's a comfortable chair. Maybe a little too comfortable.
Should I stand too?
No, please. Yeah, so they made a trailer, and the guy who made the trailer for the Battle of the Five Armies put The Edge of Night on it, and Pete liked it. You know, it wasn't supposed to be on there, but Pete liked it, and because I wrote that song, they got in touch with me about using it, and I was like, oh, it's brilliant, because it ties our trilogy into the new trilogy. I loved it. And the last movie, the song was done by, who was that again?
Ed Sheeran.
Ed Sheeran, thank you very much, my agent. And the one before that was Neil Finn, and I love both of them. So I was talking about them, and I said, who you got for the next one? And they said, oh, we haven't got anyone yet. And then we started talking and saying, oh, maybe it'd be a good idea if I did it. So I went down to New Zealand and I watched the movies in a big cinema, big theatre, and they had the Battle of the Five Armies, and just me, and a piece of paper and a pencil. And well, that reminds me, I bought pencils for the other hobbits and I forgot to give them. I went to the art gallery yesterday and I bought them pencils. Quite a nice gift, and also the cheapest thing they had in the store. Where was it?
Theatre, pencil.
Oh yeah, so I'm in the theatre and I'm watching it, And the film wasn't finished, so it'd be amazing. There'd be a scene with a big battle and then it would cut to like a little drawing of a dragon. And then I thought I was in like candid camera or something. Like, is this real? This is weird. But anyway, I jotted down notes. And then I was there for much longer than I thought I was going to be writing this song, because the longer I was there, the longer it became clear that it wasn't just a song for that movie. It was a song to finish that trilogy, but also to finish Middle Earth for us and for you guys, you know, the people that supported the movies. And it had to be a sort of goodbye to all of that. And it was quite sad actually. And so that's how the song The Last Goodbye came up. Thank you.
So, when you're doing the audition process, you gotta keep.
You got it straight.
No, you gotta keep your knee behind your ankle, brother.
I can't.
I'm telling you, it's really bad on your hip flexors.
I can't.
Okay, there we go. Right. I'm gonna witness something messy right here on the stage. You're tracking all right, but you need to move your feet a little bit more. Dude, I'm a personal trainer. I do this for a living. I'm telling you.
You did a great job.
Okay, good.
So better already.
You should. I got a whole list of stretches we could go over. So, what parts of the books were you going to draw from to really refine who you were when you were playing the role?
Yeah, I mean, the books were always on set. It was like, you know, everybody was very, I mean, adamant that we got it as close as we could, you know, and so the book was everywhere. And I had a room in the house that I rented where I put Pippin's journey on the wall, because sometimes we'd be filming the third movie and then the next day we'd be back in the Shire doing the first movie. So it was kind of like difficult to keep in your head, you know. So I had all these pieces of paper on a wall, and then I had all of Pippin's moments, you know, like meeting Gandalf, dropping the skeleton down the well, you know, this, meeting Denethor for the first time, Boromir being killed, and so that I could look at it before I went to work that day and go, oh yeah, so he's done that, but he's not done that yet. And then always going back to the book, you know. So, when you watch it again, is there a part of you that goes, man, Gandalf's a dick? Man, he's great.
Yeah, but like, he's so impatient with you. I feel like your character had such growth, and that's my favorite. I love characters that irritate me in the beginning and I love them at the end.
Right.
You had like legitimate growth, and I just, every time I watch it, that scene in particular, the skeleton, I wouldn't even brought this question up. You went down this road. Yeah. But it drives me bananas because you're growing, man.
Yeah, I'm doing my best.
Yeah. Just had to get that out of my chest.
And if it hadn't happened, and they didn't know we were there, the orcs, and if they hadn't chased us, and if we hadn't woke up the Balrog, then Gandalf wouldn't have died, and he wouldn't have came back as Gandalf the White, and then he wouldn't have been strong enough to help us destroy the ring. So basically, Pippin's a hero.
You were very, yes, with the glasses and the ears and the cape and everything.
Hello.
Can you stand up? There we go.
Oh look, we've got microphones and everything. This is high tech. This is the future here, guys. This is Toronto, this is Canada.
Hi, this is my first time at Fan Expo.
Right, okay, so you're going to record it.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
I'm wondering what you have for second breakfast.
Do you know what? Me and the boys went out for dinner last night, and we ate so much that I got up and I wasn't even hungry.
Oh.
I know, it's unusual. But I got fantastic coffee, and then I thought, I'll get a scone. Or is it a scone? Well, let's sort this straight away. Hands up if you think it's scone. Hands up if you think it's scone. Hands up if you think it's scoon. Two scoons. So I had a blueberry scoon. And it had like clotted cream and jam, and it was warm.
Cream first or jam first?
Cream first. What about you?
I go both ways.
Oh. Section through the night, that's what's said. It was a great scone. Scones. Oh. What's the fastest cake in the world? Scone. I was like, you need to try this scone. I was quite adamant and quite angry. So I've only really had a first breakfast, but I enjoyed it. It was much better than I thought it was going to be.
Excellent. Thank you.
What about second breakfast? I'm ready. I mean, I could go a banana. Thinking, or one day. He's a pirate.
So with the whole second breakfast thing, have there been times where you're just out for breakfast and you're done and the server comes and brings you a second breakfast and gives you, here you go, second breakfast, and you're like, no, not today.
There has been times. I get banana peel in my teeth. That's never happened before. Is this good banana? Is it what banana? It's a Canadian banana. It's one of the best I've ever had.
That's a banana of friendship right there.
That's delicious, that. You know, a gorilla will eat a banana that way. Gorillas know. Maybe that's the way we're supposed to eat it. Hold on. It's actually more difficult than you would think. What's your name? Zach. Thanks, Zach. Thanks for the bananas.
You're already standing. I'm going right to you.
Hello.
Hi, I'm Nancy. I'm from Toronto, and I love your Friendship Onion podcast.
Great, you coming tomorrow morning?
Absolutely.
We're doing the Friendship Onion podcast live. Tomorrow, me and Dom Monaghan. I would say come along, because why not? What else are you going to do? Sit in the house and watch reruns of BJ and the Bear. Who remembers BJ and the Bear? Well done, everyone. Sorry? What?
You've got a little bit of banana on it.
I've got a banana there.
That's
Dom hates that. He hates it when I get stuff on my face. I get stuff on my face. I don't care.
My question
Oh.
is, how long did it take to film the tree beard scenes, and did it hurt to sit in that tree all that time?
Yeah, so Treebeard, as you know, is an ant, you see, which is kind of like a walking tree. And one of my favourite things in Tolkien, I love Treebeard, I love the ents, I love the idea of it. I love the idea of these creatures who are so old that they've seen good come, they've seen good go, they've seen bad, and it kind of doesn't bother. They're just like, well, whatever, you know. Sauron will win, he'll be in charge for 2,000 years, and then somebody else will be in charge. It's kind of like, whatever. And it takes them months to make a decision. It's brilliant. I just love the idea of Treebeard. And I love that these two little hobbits have to try and convince him to join this war, you know. But anyway, when it was built, Treebeard was the biggest prop ever made for a movie. It was really tall, and it was in a big room like this, all green. And they put me and Dom up on it, on bicycle seats. But they didn't give us anything to put our feet on.
So we're just kind of sitting on a... You're a personal trainer.
Yeah,
you know that's not good.
You gotta wear chamois shorts, man. You got a little pad in you.
My God, you don't know.
You can cause infertility with that, by the way. It puts pressure on things in the area.
Yeah, it's not good.
It's not good.
So we did that for a little bit and we said, can we fix this after a couple of days? So they gave us little things to put our feet on, which was much better. And then they ended up giving us better seats to the point that it was actually quite comfortable. And we had to be tied in case we fell off. So it became a real annoyance to be unhooked and bring in ladders and all that. So when we stopped for a cup of tea, we would just get them to pass up a cup of tea. And me and Dom would have a cup of tea and a biscuit. And everybody would leave this room, and it would just be me and Dom and Drew. Having a cup of tea and talking rubbish. It was like, I think we both went slightly mad. And it took months, we were up there for months. But I loved it because I love Treebeard. Treebeard and Tom Bombadil are probably my favourite characters.
Was there ever talk about putting Tom Bombadil in the movie?
Nah, because Pete said, which he's absolutely right, that when he says once the fellowships start the journey, that's it, it just keeps moving. And, or no, even before that, when the hobbits leave the Shire, so to stop for the length of time, get back in your seat, get back! I'm talking about Tom Bombadil!
What if she has to pee, man? Like, you gotta go!
No, you can go. Go on. No, come on. Everyone's watching you. You've got to. Let's be really quiet. See if we can hear our steps.
This is a traumatic moment. Sorry. Journey starts, they go.
Right.
Yes.
So we knew that there couldn't be a moment where we just stopped and had a bath and all that. You know? That's what happens at Tom Bombadil. We just have a bath and have a nice time. I love a bath. You know, somebody gave me a candle. You know, like those little like religious candles, but it's got Sean Astin on it. And I have that in my bath now and I like it. When I'm having a bath, I'll maybe sit there with maybe a glass of wine and a little candle with Sean Astin. That's some of my happiest moments in there. Just in the bubbles.
So you're talking about Treebeard, big rooms, green screens, all that stuff. When you're filming it, were there times, because I read this thing about the scenes with Darth Vader when they were filming A New Hope, and how the people on set were like staring at each other like, this is gonna be the worst movie ever.
Right, yeah.
Were there times when you were filming Lord of the Rings where you're like, I do not know how they're gonna make this look good on camera?
Well, here's the thing, Treebeard was this big, as I say, the biggest prop ever made, and it was big and it could move, but it needed guys to move it. So these guys would be all dressed in green as well. So you couldn't, they were just green guys. And they had, you know, one would have Treebeard's leg and was going like this, you know, and one had his arm and going like this. There was like 4 green guys around us going like this. And John Rhys Davis wouldn't be there because he'd be off doing Gimli. So there's someone else reading the lines. And then there'd be other green guys holding twigs, bits of trees, running past like this. So it looked like we were going through a forest, you know. So yeah, I suppose there was moments.
You in the jacket right there. Is it a sweater? Stand up. Yes, yes. Next to her. You. Yes. There we go.
Ah, it's Pippin. What do you mean in a sweater?
I couldn't see. She was trying to do his beard.
It's
But it was hidden by the dude's beard. I couldn't see it, man. There's a dude in front.
Fair enough.
How many buttons does it have?
How many buttons?
And what were the buttons made of?
Hello. Can we have a microphone for that young lady?
I'm pretty loud.
Are you okay?
So I'm going to go totally off track. I know you love Star Trek.
Yes, I
So I'm
do.
going to ask you a Star Trek question.
I've got the answer.
If you can join any Star Trek series,
Yeah.
which one would you join and which role or like rank would you want to be?
Right.
Position.
Next generation. And with this accent, I've got to be an engineering. I'd like to be an engineer, but deep down, I'd like to be the captain. I think I'd be a good captain in Star Trek. You know what I mean? Well, yeah. Did you have something to say about that? No, you would not. I disagree. Yeah, I love Star Trek. It's great, isn't it? Do we have Trekkies? And the new ones are all good as well. It's all good.
They film it here.
They film it in Toronto. I would come to Toronto and be the captain and the engineer. So when the engineers weren't doing good, I'm like, I'll come down and I'll fix it. Because you don't go straight to captain, you must have come up the ranks, right? So maybe I was an engineer. And I was brilliant.
You stood up, onion, buddy, there you go.
Friendship onion.
There you go. You gotta support the people who have the
You know what I mean? Are you coming tomorrow?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Look how sexy this guy is, right? And see, without that hoodie, he is 34% less sexy. So if you'd like to be 34% more sexy than you are today, go to the friendshipionionpodcast.com. Get yourself a sweater.
Well, thanks to your sweater, I got a fiance here.
You see? People said up and down his town he will never get married. His grandmother said, no chance, no one's going to marry this guy. He bought that sweater and look at the beautiful young lady in this town. 34%.
I'm going to New Zealand with the missus. What do I do there?
Oh, it's brilliant. Ask any of your mates if they've got a ring. Throw it in the fire. Keep it secret. No, it's brilliant. It's a great. When are you going?
Next year.
Summer or winter?
You need to decide.
Ah, okay. Well, I don't know why I asked that, because I would still do the same stuff. You've got to go and see some of the sets. You know, if you're a fan of Lord of the Rings, there's some great tours down there, I think, red carpet tours and stuff, and they know a lot of the behind the scenes stuff, and they'll take you to the right places. And then definitely go to Wellington. I love Wellington. It's such a great place. Go to Weta in Wellington and see those guys. They're so passionate, and they've got all the, they'll get the props and all that. They're great. Go to Queenstown if you want to jump off of things or go down rivers or do any of that. I don't. I drink coffee. After that, Alonso, off you go. Yeah, it's a great. You'll have a great time. It's so good. I'd love to go back. Yeah, I'm picking people now.
Yeah, well, no, I said I was going to pick her. She's there.
I used to be the engineer, now I'm the captain. You work your way up the ranks. Hello.
So, when's your birthday? Because there was like 3 different like things saying what your birthday was, and you said it was in September during the Fan Expo on the Friendship Onion Show.
You're right. And I was wrong. The Canadians still like the British royal family and all that, don't they? And the Queen's got like 8 birthdays. Birthdays every couple of weeks. So I'm going to do that as well. I'm the captain. So my birthday, if anybody's interested, and you do know that I'd like knickknacks from Star Trek.
Or candles.
Or candles with Sean Astin. Anything with Sean Astin, really. And maybe a phaser, a tricorder. Well, anyway, my birthday's tomorrow is what I'm saying.
This guy right there, in the black shirt.
I don't really want gifts, I was only joking.
You're gonna get so many candles at your table.
That's right. 21, 22, help us out.
20, well, age? Oh, I couldn't say now. Hobbits come of age when they're 33. That was a while ago. Anyway, sorry, sir.
Hey, so my question is, obviously in the text there's lots of stuff they can't cover because the film has to be streamlined. Are there any scenes or any character aspects you wish you had time to tackle, such as the Barrel Whites or hanging out with Fatty Bulger? Or what would you like to expand on if given the chance in an extended edition?
I think, I would say all the Hobbits would say this, and certainly for Pippin, it would be the scouring of the Shire.
Yeah.
I think, you know, that's when the Hobbits really show that they've grown and they became heroes, you know. And it was a shame, we really wanted it, and I can see why it can be in the movie. I mean, people already say that the movie finishes 3 times, Return of the King, you know, or 4. And, you know, so putting the whole scouring of the Shire in there would be too much, but I'd love to have seen the Hobbits and the scouring of the Shire.
I got a question.
Right off the back. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, but, and it's more about them than me, so let's get to their questions.
Yeah.
Let's get their questions.
Hello.
So this question was actually brought up when we were online reviewing it, but didn't really get asked. So when we were shooting the first film, Sean Reed's character is like treated in the villain for the longest time. So did you keep it that way, or like you guys try to make friends with him, but you cannot be there, so you kept it that way?
What was that? I'm sorry, it was quite far away. Something about, here we go. 1, 2, This is better, come on. Oh, come on, Jenny. Come on. Come on, hello. Yeah, I shouldn't put my hands
Hello from Boromir. So this question was brought up during the honor reunion of the cast.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't really get asked. So we were filming the first one. Because Sean Bean was playing Boromir, he acted like the villain for most of the time during the first film. So like, did the cast, the rest of the cast just kept that distance from him? Or it was like, you tried to be friends with him, but he turned out to be a jerk, so he kept that way. That was a trick question.
That's good, it's a good question. Sean Bean, what a guy. I think I said at the time, I'll stand up so people can see. I think I said at the time that I don't think I'd work with an actor who is so quick at changing from being who he is to being the character, because Boromir was so centered and like such a noble, even though, you know, made some bad decisions, but he, like, you'd be speaking to Sean and he's a lovely, quiet, alright man, and then it would be like action and he's like, whoa, this, you know, it's amazing to watch. And then as soon as it stopped, he's like, oh, I'm going to get a cup of tea. He's such a lovely, lovely guy. He's and one of the great actors, I think. And he did such a lovely job. Yeah, I'm impressed. He saved my life, so. Not really. But thank you for your question.
You were on the wall. You had your hand up for the wall. Yeah, you. Yes. Me? Yes.
About what?
The prequel. The series.
Oh, the series.
September
I don't know, I'm
2nd.
excited. I want to see it. I think the last trailers have been brilliant. So I'm excited to see it. Yeah.
I was actually curious. That was what I was going to ask. Thank you. Thank you. I was going to ask, like, doing the con circuit, I'm sure that you encountered some people involved with that show. Is there like a rivalry? Is it like you can't be buds with him?
I haven't met anyone from it.
Are you gonna throw down when you do?
No. Well, that's a lie. I did meet somebody. I was on NCIS Hawaii, and there was somebody on that who's in it, and he was telling me all the secrets of it. Which, if you buy me a pint,
was there a bit of like FOMO when you heard about this? I mean, I gotta get in there. I gotta double dip. I gotta get back in.
Nah.
No. All right. I would totally would have.
We made Lord of the Rings.
I know. Where? Yes. Stand up. There we go.
You look amazing. Thank you. Yeah, I don't even have a dress on. Good on you. B-Cake's my band, for anyone who doesn't know. Do you know what? We've got a record that's finished. We just try to work out the best way to release it. I read this story about a fishing boat that sank off of one of the islands off of the west coast of Scotland. And I thought, how does that affect that society? You know, because there's small society, these islands, you know. So it must affect everyone on the island in some way. So the next album is kind of a concept album about that, about fishing and growing up in one of those kind of little towns and how everyone knows each other and all that. So we have it, and I think it's pretty good. So we'll release it at some point. Maybe do a tour.
You right there. You've been putting your hand up a lot. I'm sorry.
There's a BK question too. That's
Okay. All right.
So I was a fan of BK before Lord of the Rings.
Right?
Because I found the Friendship Onion first, took a deep dive into both of you, and I found BK.
Nice. You got a tattoo of what?
I have lyrics.
She
From
has
A Perfect Time.
From Perfect Time.
And then I have the Friendship Onion, and it says BK under the one that looks like BK.
I love it. Thank you very much.
So my question was, taking that deep dive, there's a lot of YouTube videos of you performing, and there's one where you break into I Kissed a Girl, so I thought now that Orlando's with Katie, that would be weird?
Oh man, that is a deep question.
Yeah. You know, I've never even thought of that. I did like that song, that's why BK played it. I liked it. I kissed a girl. And I liked it. I'll ask her, yeah. Maybe I could play it for her. Maybe she'd love that. Maybe she would hate it. Either way, it'll be fun, right? Hello.
Okay, so your character that you played him in, and then your personality in general, I've always seen myself in. I was a young child. I was always the one that was mischievous.
Okay.
So you're my comfort character, like 2018. So I'm just wondering if there's anyone that you look up to like that, and see yourself in.
That I kind of, right, like a character like that. That's a good question. I'm going back into my Star Trek.
I thought for sure you were going to say someone from Star Trek.
BJ and the Bear. I like, you know what? Thinking about it, I really love the work of William Shatner. Like, not just Star Trek, but all those shows that he did around that time, he was brilliant, you know? So I didn't know this until you asked me. But my character is probably William Shatner.
We got one more question. You were like bouncing in your seat in the tie-dye. There we go.
Hello.
That's not tie-dye, that's Mario. But from here, it looks tie-dye, and I'm sorry.
So my one question is, what's your favorite kind of wine?
Pint? Favourite pint? 10-inch lager from Scotland. I think it's got so many chemicals in it that they can't sell it in other places. But there's something about, I don't know, Scotland, and I actually went to I did a film with George Lopez, and he asked me about 10-inch lager, because he was a huge fan of it, and I was like, that's so weird. So I thought it was just like this Scottish weird thing, but yeah, probably a sunny day in Glasgow, sitting outside with a cold glass of 10-inch lager. There you go. Can you get it here? Where'd you get it? What pub?
Scallywags has it.
I'm going to Caledonia tonight.
There's a spot at Scallywags. It's where we go to watch rugby all the time.
Scallywags.
Scallywags, they got it.
I love it.
Here we go. Billy Boyd, everybody!